sad road for Janice because she couldn't, she had mass adulation and then went home alone and wasn't centered enough got pretty lonely and took the spirit in the bottle,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the needle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's sad, huh? She was something else.
It is. And, Jim and Janice were a couple of those people who have creativity and survival in one packet, addiction and creativity in one bag.
Yeah. Right.
Some people don't.
Right.
Picasso lived to 90.
Right.
So, it just, as time goes on, I'm more and more grateful for what Jim and Janice gave us. And it was really hard being around them.
I can imagine. It's sometimes it's hard for me to listen to them.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot, Marc. What about you? Tell me about, although I suppose, who's some comedic mentors for you?
Well, I think for me, it became, as time went on and I started to understand myself more, about vulnerability, really. That, there was something about, Richard Pryor, when he was able to, there was a rawness to his truth. So how do you get under the joke, into something that actually speaks to the human condition in a way that's vulnerable and raw?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
By being so fed by, Lenny Bruce and Richard and Chappelle and whatever. They're just trying to get at the very roots of it all.
Yeah, and I think Lenny was sort of like heady and, but also a great observer of human foibles and systemic foibles. But, but Richard, there was some sort of real kind of, Richard was fragile, man. And, and he couldn't hide it. So he wore his heart on his sleeve. So, and he brought that and he brought himself to what he was doing in a way that I don't know that anyone's ever really done it before. I mean, anger's easy and being a clown is easy, but, really kind of being vulnerable in humor is tricky. You
mean talking about lighting yourself on fire?
Yeah, man. Right?
Come on, Richard, light yourself on fire. Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, man. I mean, that took some balls, huh? To be a public, to make that kind of horrendous mistake and, that horrible accident in the midst of all that darkness and addiction and then get an hour and a half out of it. Good for him, man.
Oh, geez.
In your career, though, it seemed like after the Doors, you kind of went on some different journey. I mean, there is a certain amount of humility and egolessness and real creative passion to sort of pursue dance. I mean, what was that about?
Well, I became a drummer for a dance company.
Okay.
But what I realized, it's not the goal of the giant concert. It's the road there.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing poetry and drumming, hand drumming, in clubs and stuff for years off and on. And man, if I have a good night and I feel that connection with the audience, I'm as high as Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's sort of like if it's a 40-piece orchestra or a duet, that's one person on stage. And the audience, Madison Square Garden or a club, that's the other person. And the two of you are going to dance tonight.
Yeah.
And the mystery and magic is, how's it going to go?
Right.
Is it going to be a salsa, a waltz, a punk? I mean, metaphorically.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I'm missing so much now with the pandemic, just seeing live music and
the connection. It's really a big part of your life, huh?
Well, I became a writer 10, 20 years ago, and so I'm used to this sort of monk-like thing. So I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
But I do miss the social.
Yeah, human beings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Our tribe.
Yeah. When did you first? How old? Where was Ram Dass and his wife when you had the experience with him?
Well, I was playing with his buddy Krishna Das. The two of them went to India in the 60s.
Yeah.
Gave the guru LSD, and the guru said, "What else you got?"
Yeah.
And they went, "This is our guy."
Yeah.
And so I was playing percussion with Krishna Das, and and Ram Das came, and I got to meet him, and then I got invited to his house. This was after he had the stroke, of course.
Yeah.
So I had dinner with him, and man, I gotta say, the love vibe was palpable.
Yeah.
I don't want to be corny, but man, oh man, wow.
Yeah.
You know, to be dealt the card of a stroke where you're like Gary Snyder, the space is, you know, that's
yeah.
how he, but he translated that as, okay, the listener's getting more in that silence than even if I was blah, blah, blahing, you know.
Interesting.
That's wow.
So,
and he had a real love vibe, and he was in a wheelchair, and it wasn't pretty.
Well, that was sort of him, like, I mean, you know, that his sort of process around, you know, sort of moving towards death and mortality and kind of making a sort of accepting mortality is his trip, right? So so like I guess that, you know, when you have a stroke, like I just talked to Michael J. Fox the other day because he's got a book out, and it seems to me that the people that accept and, you know, build a relationship with their sickness or with their liabilities, the people that befriend it and accept that this is going to be their partner from here on out for one way or another, are the people that are able to sort of stay in a light when it comes to life, you know?
And that's a teaching for us.
Right.
Because, you know, we're on, you know, maybe our road is not as dramatic, but we got to yield. This aging makes you yield.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes. But as George Harrison wrote, you know, he knew he had cancer. Some days are quite sublime.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's in the midst of all this chaos and horror that we're dealing with now. When I'm out here sitting on my porch, this is the life right here, right now. You know, everything that's outside of me and everything I know that's going on that's horrible is not here right now. I'm having a nice day.
And no disrespect, you know, and hopefully you and I don't get the virus.
Yes.
But the Earth, our footprint on the Earth is lighter, and that's something to think about.
Oh, you mean with everything stalled?
Yeah, with everything slow.
I thought about that. Yeah, we're giving the Earth a rest as we're all taking the hit. But I mean, I guess maybe we had it coming. What I talked to Patti Smith a couple of weeks ago, and she's lovely. You had a nice time with her?
Oh, God.
She's the best, right?
I mean, you know, she jump starts the whole punk thing.
Yeah.
Then she crosses over and writes a National Book Award book. Oh my God! You know,
great.
I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Wow, what a Renaissance woman! You know, and humble and.
She's a real deal.
And as you said, I listened to a little of the interview. She's part of that lineage, that beautiful thread from Beatnik, Burroughs, and Ginsberg. It's sort of like the hippies are on the shoulders of the Beats.
Right.
The punks are on the shoulders of the hippies.
Mm.
The grunge is on the shoulders of the punks.
Mm.
And so it goes, you know.
Yeah.
We're all kind of learning from each other.
And now let's talk a little bit about, like, in terms of, like, how you felt about how the Doors music was going to be used or allowed to use. What was your source of angst about that?
Well, Marc, it goes like this. We are solicited to do "Come on, Buick, light my fire."
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
And we're kind of considering it. Jim's out of town. And he comes back and says, good idea. And I got to, you know, for a commercial, I'll go on television and I'll smash the car with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a no.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, wow, he didn't write that song. He wrote one line, "Our love become a funeral pyre," of course, Morrison-esque, right?
Yeah. Who wrote that song?
Robbie wrote that song.
Right.
Robbie Krieger. And so, whoa, Jim cares about the whole catalog, everything we're doing here. So how can I break on through to a new deodorant?
Right, right.
Or love me 2 times because I just took Viagra.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
So, I've been Mr. Vito, got a lot of shit for it. And now people have come around more. So
it's basically protecting the legacy and honoring what you thought Jim's vision was and what you thought the creative vision of the band was. And you stuck by it because you didn't want to fucking sell it out.
To the point of suing my bandmates. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was so painful. I couldn't believe I did it.
But because what they were just seeing an easy payday, right, on some level?
Yeah.
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 But I mean, they must have been doing okay. It's not like the Doors. Yeah.
Well, that's what my question was. Okay. Well, I know it was hard. It was kind of like the Chappelle. What did he turn down? 50, 60 million or some shit? All right. So it got up to 15 million for Break On Through to a Cadillac gas guzzling,
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, after managers and splitting it all up, it'd only be a few million each. But still, I said to Ray and Robbie, okay, we all have a nice house and kind of a couple groovy cars. What are you going to buy? What do you need?
Yeah. ...
There was that space. ...
Yeah.
The truth came in. There was no answer. And I was like, so I'm going to veto.
Right.
And let me say this too, Mark, important. This was way back.
Yeah.
And things got so hard. If a new band wanted to do a commercial to pay the rent, I get that.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
But then again, if you get a toehold on success, maybe re-examine that decision and don't do it anymore. But in our case...
Well, it was like, the guy, it would be on the grave of Jim Morrison, and these were iconic songs. It's one thing, if you need to make ends meet and you do a commercial with a tune that, maybe no one's even heard before, or you want to sell a jingle, but it's different where they're like, this song represented something. It was a big shift in thinking, like even with for some people, it kind of like they used Iggy Pop's "Search and Destroy," I think, for a Nike commercial. And I talked to the dude, a music manager. He said that the guy who used that song for that or got permission to use it didn't even know who Iggy was. He saw the title on a list of songs and then checked it out. But oddly, for Iggy, it kind of like it kind of reinvigorated his career, and he probably needed the bread because he doesn't have
When Nike backed up Colin Kaepernick, I don't wear sports gear.
Yeah.
But I went to Nike and bought a T-shirt. I thought, that's cool. But Pete Townsend, I quote in my second book, The Unhinged.
Yeah.
The other point of view. I say, people were in Vietnam getting fed by our songs or fell in love or first time they got high. We can't change the soundtrack to their life. And Pete Townsend says, I don't give a fuck if you fell in love with Shirley to my song. It's my song. I'll do what I want.
Right, man. Right, man.
There you are.
Yeah, yeah. It's like William Burroughs said to Patti Smith, you got to keep your name clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, did you guys, did everybody end on a good note? Like when Ray passed, were you okay?
And we were strained, and I sent them the last chapter of the second book with a note saying, listen, this is going to be a hard pill to swallow. I want to make sure you got to this chapter. I say in here, how could I not love you guys? We created magic in a garage. And then when I heard Ray was getting really sick, I called him, and thank God he picked the phone up. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
And we talked about his cancer and none of the legal shit, which was over. I won. But it felt good to hear his voice, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
It was a closure, and I feel